Yo, Miles, what is up? Where are you at?
I'm in Phoenix,
Phoenix.
heated up from the game.
Game 2, NBA Finals, just got done about half an hour ago. I'm in Chicago. You see the city behind me. Game 2, Warriors take it. I can already predict. I can see the headlines tomorrow. I can see the first take, headlines. Are the Toronto Raptors done for this series? Let's just recap real quick the game, and we'll get your thoughts. We get the game first quarter going. Klay Thompson starts off first 11 points. He's looking great. Shots releasing quicker than Aaron Rodgers' fastball. Warriors, in typical Warrior fashion, don't show up for the second quarter. And we get some appearance from DeMarcus Cousins early in the first. He gets 2 quick fouls, but more importantly, I think he gets in the flow of the game. He gets in more of a rhythm. He's able to use that later in the game, and he actually gave them pretty good minutes in the second half, especially.
He did, actually. He really did produce today. He stepped up when their normal big man. What's his name?
Looney. Well, that's because Looney took a shot from.
Sorry.
He took a shot from Kawhi Leonard straight to the chest.
He's out for the game. He took a big fall.
He's an underrated guy that's out, just like Thompson. But we'll get to Thompson. The Warriors go into the halftime with a 4-point deficit, and I texted you at halftime when we're talking about how, Green and Thompson are the only players showing up, and what I say this is like feeling like the Blazer game.
Yep. It's a typical Warriors game. I mean, I think they said 5 playoff games they played. So they held like 17, 18, and 17-point deficits respectively in the last 3 Blazer games. And then in the back-to-back Toronto games.
And they overcome them.
It's ridiculous that they even – yeah. And, I mean, it's kind of impressive. I always like comeback stories and teams that are able to do this, but they're so consistent at it. There needs to be a team that doesn't allow them back into the third quarter, because what's happening is Toronto went on these huge scoring droughts where I think the beginning of the third quarter they went 1 for 13 or something like that and had a 6-minute scoring drought. They can't do that. And they went on let the Warriors go on an 18-0 run. And I don't know if the Warriors even hit a 3 in that time. They might have to cap it off. I think Quinn Cook hit a 3 at the very end of that run. But Toronto was just cranking threes, and the Warriors were daring to do it.
It reminded me just like the Houston series.
Yeah,
where you try and play into the Warriors game, into the Warriors' hands, and you just can't keep up with them. Eventually, they just outrun you. You can't do it.
Yeah, and the Warriors are better at it. Kawhi Leonard finally snapped them out of that run by getting into the paint, getting fouled, getting to the free throw line. He did awesome tonight.
He really kind of did play like a James Harden, like how James Harden should have played, right? 14 from 14 from the line. I think he was 34 points, smooth, mid-range game, getting teammates involved, playing hard defense.
They needed him like 3 minutes earlier. It really matters because they went scoreless for, I think, between like 7 minutes to go in the fourth, all the way down to 4 minutes, a 3-minute drought. And the Warriors did the exact same thing. I mean, there was like a 3-minute point in the game where nobody scored in the fourth.
Right.
Toronto's got to be able to do that. Or
Toronto 10-0 run, cut it down to 2. This was after Klay Thompson went out with his hamstring injury, which we'll get to. We'll address that. But then Iggy was his presence alone just made it to where the Warriors were able to just do their thing.
Yeah, and the Warriors defense really did look really does look great. I mean, the Raptors coming out of halftime, it looked like they thought they were just going to get away with trying to isolate Kawhi Leonard and let him do
In the
his
third
thing.
in the third quarter, it really did seem like they had a new death lineup or lineup of death, whatever you want to call it, with DeMarcus, Iggy, Draymond, and the Splash Brothers. I mean, that five when they went on that 18-0 run, it was classic Warriors basketball.
Yeah, and they played really smart. They passed the ball really well. DeMarcus Cousins did an awesome job distributing the ball. I did not think he was going to be a factor in this series, and he stepped up big time for them.
No, you always got to account for contract year guy. There's a narrative about him that he can overwrite with hard work. He's worked really hard just to get to this point. Like I said, I mean, he kind of looked a step slow in the first quarter, but you could tell that the effort was there, and he was sweating. You know, when he picked up his second foul, you know, early 9 minutes into the game or something, and his activity just never stopped. I mean, he kind of offset Marc Gasol, which is important because, you know, Marc Gasol, when he gets going, I think
How'd you feel about?
he's a catalyst for other role players to get going.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
how'd you feel about the officiating in this game?
I don't know. I think it's hard when Steph, you could tell he's not 100%. He's trying to get things going, and he reminded me of kind of like James Harden, where he knew where he could get his fouls. You know,
Yeah, but I mean, like
he
as a
pumps.
whole, because
What do
I
you
mean,
where are you going with this? Where are you going?
I feel like Marc Gasol picked up a lot of like moving screen fouls that put him in like hard foul trouble. And I don't know if that. I feel like he was setting pretty good screens. I mean, there was one early that they called. It was a good call. I don't know. I just feel like that affected the game a lot. Was Marc Gasol getting into foul trouble? And I don't want to say that like officiating was the reason that the Raptors lost this game, but because it definitely wasn't. I mean, the Raptors had their opportunities, and they flat blew it to me.
Yeah, here's the shot chart between Gasol on the right, Cousins on the left. You could see,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
3 for 8 for Cousins and 2 for 7 for Gasol. Just not an efficient night. Misses his wide open looks at threes straight on. Those are kind of deadly. But DeMarcus, you know, doing his damage. He's not taking ridiculous shots. You know, he's being super conservative in this offense. He's probably taking. I saw when he made that three. It was in a rhythm. It was, you know, it was a kick out from Draymond, and it was almost like Draymond was like encouraging him to be a spacer and to be a threat out there offensively, especially in such a big game like the finals.
Yeah, they know he can shoot.
But I was just super, super impressed with DeMarcus.
Yeah, he really did play well. I did not like the three that he took a little later in the game. I actually didn't really like any of the threes that he took, to be honest with you. But I mean, he played honest. He played awesome. I mean, I think he earned some bad shots, to be honest. He played that well.
Here's another shot chart that I want to share with you real quick. And this is just kind of like number 2 options, comparing the number 2. Klay Thompson by himself on the left, and on the right, Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam.
Pascal Siakam needs to be so much better. I mean,
we'll throw in Iggy to kind of even out the shot chart distribution wise. But just look at that. Here's arguably the second and third options you got for the teams.
Yeah,
and just imagine the spacing you can have over here with Klay Thompson.
Right. Yeah, Klay Thompson was lit tonight. He was tearing it up from the beginning. And
now look at all that X over here.
Yeah, Pascal Siakam did not hit one shot outside of, I think, 3 feet tonight.
Ugh.
If you,
and you know what I think it was? I think it was the boogie minutes. He's just clogging up the paint, and his activity. Here's the last shot chart I want to show you. Curry on the left, Freddie Van Buckets on the right. 7 for 17, 6 for 17. But why do I feel like Steph's were more impactful?
It definitely felt that way. I don't know.
All of his paint points and 1-3 for Freddie Van Buckets, and all these missed threes.
I feel like Van Fleet definitely missed.
I don't think he takes bad shots.
No, I don't either. I feel like he scored in spurts and he missed in spurts. It wasn't really like I don't know. It didn't seem like a really easily flowing game for Van Fleet. It seemed like there were times when he would pour on 10 points, he'd get a rhythm, knock down a 3, and then all of a sudden he'd have to like force a shot. End of a shot clock situation. Not a bad shot, but missing that shot took him out of his rhythm a little bit. And then late in the game, they looked to him. I think that's why his shot percentage went down a little bit, is because late in the game, they looked to him as kind of their savior and hoping to put him back in the game. And actually, it was probably more Danny Green that did it.
And it was interesting because when I was just watching old YouTube highlights the other day, when Kawhi was going through the first Spurs run, there was a couple of games where Danny Green was one of their top scorers, and Boris Diaw. I remember Boris Diaw was one of the main contributors to that offense. Kind of like an unsung hero. And maybe Van Vliet's getting a little too much credit. Maybe he's getting a little too much attention. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think he can kind of be easily stopped if Toronto's pieces are not all put into play. Like Siakam had
3 for 7 from the floor.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good night for him. That's exactly what they want. They want him to play defense, and they want him to hit a good percentage of shots, big shots down the stretch. Marc Gasol had a rough night. Foul trouble, had a tough time getting a rhythm. Lowry, same thing. He fouled out. He picked up some stupid fouls. He needs to be better. I mean, I felt like
Quinn Cook had some good quality. 2 back-to-back threes from Quinn Cook.
Yeah, Quinn Cook played really well too. He hit big shots. That was back with, like, when Toronto was coming back into the game and they were regaining that momentum. And I think Quinn Cook ended 2 of those runs. Big threes. I was going to ask you, so Quinn Cook buried a big 3. And it looked to me like the Warriors bench pretty much cleared out and was almost on the floor.
Right. And Steph Curry like chest bumped him while he was going back on defense.
Like on the court, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the NBA rule book on that is, but this is where I would like. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I lied. I have one more chart to show you. And I want you to pay attention to the left. And this is my transition. This is the shot chart of Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Miles, what happens when the Warriors go back home to Oracle Arena? In the shot chart that I just highlighted, the one that matters the most, arguably the best player in the world.
I don't think the Raptors can handle it. I mean, they had a great opportunity to win game 2. Curry was obviously not on his game.
Thompson goes down.
Thompson played well, but yeah, he went down late. And honestly, it was stupid of Thompson to even try doing that. That was stupid. He kicked out his foot trying to create contact. Danny Green's a smart defender. He avoided the contact completely. And Klay Thompson lands in the splits.
Yeah, you can't do that if you're Klay.
He's going to be fine. He'll be back for game 3. But, I mean, that was dumb.
Knowing that they're going back to Oakland
for 3 games.
What happens if you're Kawhi and you're after the 5th game, you just pretty much got swept after stealing the first game at home? Really, the highlight of the season was the game and the finals. The game 1 of the finals. is it almost easier for you to leave if you only win the one game where it's like, hey, I got you here, I got you to this point, I got you to the finals, and I won you the first game, and we all have that moment, and we all have that beating the Sixers in the first round. We could, as a franchise, market that moment. We can sell it. We can put it on our history as our thing.
I'm looking back.
But we're going to be Canada. We're going to treat you nice. We're going to treat you like Chris Bosh when he went to Miami. And there's just nothing you can do.
I'm looking back at LeBron James last year when he dragged that Cleveland Cavaliers team, who honestly was, I think we kind of undersold
60-win team, right? They were like a 60-win team when he left.
Yeah, I think we kind of undersold actually how good all the role players around LeBron James were. Like with Rodney Hood and Hill. Kevin Love was there. I mean, honestly, he had some really good pieces. That's beside the point.
Well, one of the playoff runs, they were like setting records for 3-point makes with J.R. Smith on the wing.
That's right.
And Kyle Korver.
And Kyle Korver. That's right. Anyway, this team.
Tristan Thompson.
With LeBron James, game 1 at Oracle Arena of the NBA Finals, and they had a chance to win it.
Would it even matter?
What J.R. Smith will forever be remembered.
But there's an argument to be made that it wouldn't have even mattered. Like it could have been like this series where it's arguably over. I mean, I think
I would say the difference in that series is that it was at Oracle Arena. So if they won that game, they would have taken home court advantage.
Interesting. Now the Warriors have home court.
I don't think that winning that game would have made LeBron James stay. Meaning, I don't think making it a 5-game series, winning game 1 would have made a difference in LeBron James' decision to leave Cleveland.
No,
I think Kawhi's decision is already kind of made up, whatever it is.
And they got Marc Gasol, who's like a top 5 player to them. They got him mid-season. Masai's done some finagling midway through the season just to get players on a roster. But you can go to Los Angeles Clippers. There's already a team of vets. There's already a good infrastructure there. I'm not saying that there's not in Toronto, but I mean,
I kind of like the fit in Toronto for Kawhi. Making the NBA Finals your very first year there. I don't know.
How about a short term? How about a 2-year deal?
I'd be willing to make Kawhi a 2-year deal. I mean, in this NBA,
it's really not that.
You're kind of foolish to think that you're going to have a player stay for 4 years anyway. I mean, Anthony Davis has been trying to get out of his contract for the last 2 years. I mean, I think it's a little bit insane to think that you're going to wrap up a player for 4 years anyway.
Even this Warriors dynasty, it looked like when they got Kevin Durant, it could be like a 6-year stretch. And this is year 4 or 5. This is year 4 with Kevin Durant. So, I would say that run is kind of long for them anyways, or it's just long in general.
Yeah. I mean, this run for the Warriors has been long.
And Kyle Lowry will be off the books. You'll have Pascal probably re-signed at that point. At the end of the 2-year extension, Kawhi could theoretically sign. And then Serge Ibaka's contract would be off the books. You could kind of blow it up then, and then you could go back to, sign with the Lakers or sign with the Clippers. No, it's not like you're not going to be taken back.
Yeah, if I'm the Raptors, I'm definitely trying to make this situation last as long as possible.
Because the Warriors could have, I mean, are you afraid of Philadelphia? You went through them. Are you afraid of Milwaukee? You went through them. I mean, all throughout the year.
They really shouldn't be. Yeah. They really shouldn't.
All throughout the East, we talked about how it's going to be those 3 teams. Who was the 4th?
Boston.
That's right. Who doesn't even count.
Which is crazy because they matched up
Unless
with
you
everybody.
add that young Brooklyn team, they re-sign D'Angelo and they bring back Kyrie. But even then, I mean, you have
So
Kyrie.
do you think Toronto can steal a game in Golden State? One of three.
I don't see it. Not after what I saw tonight. Not after what I saw in the Blazers series after the Warriors. I mean, they just turn it on in the third quarter. And at home, it's going to be insane. It's going to be impossible. I mean, maybe you get one, but even then, I think the Warriors have 3 games going back to Toronto, if that's the case. It's definitely a 3-game to 2 advantage if it's going to 6.
So do you think Kevin Durant comes back for game 3?
I don't. I think if I'm him, I take another game. I mean, why not? I mean,
if I'm him, I'm
it depends.
back.
I guess it depends on whether or not like Curry is just a stomach bug or if he has the flu. I mean, I don't know. What's the matter? Get some sleep, man. And if Clay, like, come on, man.
Because the same thing happened to
Clay's
Kawhi earlier in the playoffs.
So let's keep playing this Eastern Conference 2020 game. You'll have KD in the Knicks. Why not just run it back, Toronto?
I definitely would. I hope they do. Because, I mean, when I was talking about earlier in the year, whether Kawhi would stay there, I said if they make the Eastern Conference Finals, Kawhi has to stay. I didn't expect him to make the NBA Finals, to be honest.
And to win game 1.
I didn't expect them to have home court advantage.
I didn't expect this whole Toronto thing to be like a movement. Like, I think if the Blazers would have gone to the finals, I don't think it would be this inventive. You know what I mean? With Drake and with Jurassic Park, with all these ESPN pundits coming out, and with, you have Jalen Rose, you have Damon Stoudemire, you have Chris Bosh, you have all these former Raptors, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Charles Oakley. They're all coming out of the woodworks to kind of Isaiah Thomas, who was the first executive for Toronto. They're all the whole country of Canada. This movement has just been so crazy for Kawhi. I think he had his mind made up at some point, but he probably is rethinking it now.
I definitely think that Toronto is has a really healthy fan base. I think that would be hard to turn your back on, especially if you're in the NBA Finals and the entire league is going to change this summer, because Golden State's definitely not going to be the same team. They're not going back to the NBA Finals for a 6th year. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that like it's a guarantee, but
LeBron did it 8 times.
Yeah, that's insane. That's crazy.
And as long as you have Curry and Thompson, I think there's a chance. And Green. Obviously Green, too.
Yeah, I think Draymond Green is actually – he should get the playoff MVP. If they win another championship, he should definitely get it. People are saying Curry, but they would not be where they are without Draymond Green. He actually controls the pace of the game, and you see every single
Curry.
time.
It's not Curry.
No, it's not. Every single time
he plays like
trouble.
He plays in Davidson, and he kind of just runs around screens and tries to get open and tries to get his shots off, and that's not controlling the game. That's trying to get your shot off, trying to score the game. He realizes that him getting an open shot, catch and shoot is a good look, but he's not the one orchestrating that and setting that up.
And the Raptors threw an interesting look at the Warriors, and I was confused at it. And Stan Van Gundy is the one that actually called what it was. So they threw a box and one defense at him, which is just a zone defense for your 4 players, and then a matchup on
the ball
on Steph Curry. Yeah, so you can run triangle and 2 if you want to like match up straight up on Curry and Thompson, but that's pretty dangerous. I mean, the Warriors are pretty deep. I never would have even considered a box and one, but it actually worked. And they
Toronto's
cut the lead
long too,
down to 2. Yeah. And it seemed like Golden State actually struggled finding a look that would work. They really hesitated with it anyway. And then they ran a full court defense, like a full court man-to-man, and dropped back into that box and one and forced a turnover late in the game. And where they really went wrong was they did not foul when they had the opportunity, and they let Iguodala hit just a dagger wide open.
Dagger.
5 seconds left.
And that's why he's the finals MVP over Steph that first year in 2015. That's why.
Yeah, he hits big shots. The Raptors had their opportunities, and they blew it tonight.
Game 3, I don't even know what adjustments, if you're Nick Nurse, do you do? You say, I mean, shoot, we had Curry struggling the first half. He made one deep three, to really get things going for them. We survived Klay Thompson's attack. DeMarcus Cousins came back from life.
They have to play.
Where do we go from here?
They have to be way more disciplined. Like Kyle Lowry's last foul to foul out of the game.
Oh my goodness.
Was so dumb. You have to be so much smarter than that in the NBA Finals. You can't just swipe at a ball because you're frustrated, slap somebody's arm. That's how you pick up really quick fouls. That's what happened to Toronto all night long. Marc Gasol has to set way more sturdy picks, like way stiffer. He can't be moving around at all. The refs are looking for him and those moving screens, and the Warriors players know it because they're flopping around and doing all kinds of stuff every single time they get hit by a Marc Gasol pick. Those are 2 big focal points for Game 3. They also need to take care of the ball because in Game 1, Toronto only had 10 turnovers. Golden State has been consistently throwing the ball away. They're averaging like 16 turnovers a game through the playoffs, which is one of the highest in the playoffs, I think. They had 17 tonight, I think. They're consistently throwing the ball away. Toronto needs to win the turnover battle. They need to take care of the ball and have more possessions.
Toronto had 10 more possessions than Golden State. It's just Golden State had 34 assists.
And Golden State's movement looked way better.
34. I think Toronto only had 17 assists comparatively.
That's a big difference. The Warriors have always been like that, though.
Yeah.
Like 30 assists a game. I think fouls and turnovers are not like a stat that is going to necessarily decide a winner of a game, but they're both stats that Toronto needs in order to win a game. I don't think it matters for Golden State as much.
Draymond Green, 9 assists. DeMarcus Cousins coming in with 6 assists, along with Iggy.
And they really couldn't body up on DeMarcus because Ibaka came in and picked up 3 quick fouls in the first quarter. Gasol had 2 in the first. And then from there, they were really, really soft in the paint.
DeMarcus Cousins, I'm telling you, he had 2 blocks.
Did he really? I actually
2 blocks,
didn't see those.
11 points, 10 rebounds, 8 shot attempts.
He really passed well from the post. That was big. That in the third quarter especially, that created a lot of really easy looks for him. They got layups because they just went straight to the post on DeMarcus, and then he was able to find people quick, which kind of surprised me. I don't exactly remember that of him when he was playing in New Orleans, but that might have just been because it was a while ago.
Draymond Green with 17 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists.
He's going to keep being that triple-double machine.
It might even get worse.
Probably
for the Raptors.
Will. Yeah. I'm worried for them. This was a big game, and they should have won it. That's the thing. They should have won this game. There were so many. I think they won the rebounding battle, too. It was
wasn't it?
It was probably close.
What do you think Houston would have looked like against this Toronto's team?
bad. I think Toronto's really long, and actually would really affect
Yeah.
Houston's shot percentage around the perimeter, because those are guys that are like dedicated to this kind of thing. So Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam definitely would disrupt stuff from the perimeter.
Yeah,
Fred
you
VanVleet.
probably couldn't have ISO'd on this team.
No, I think it would be interesting to see how Harden would play, but they would just stick Kawhi Leonard on Harden, and I think it'd be ugly. I think Toronto would definitely take this series against Houston.
Oh man,
I was frustrated watching it. Just undisciplined basketball from Toronto until the fourth quarter, and then it was too late.
and now I mean, we're just
Now
planning
we're
the
in big
championship,
trouble.
start planning the parade. Whether KD comes back or not, I think it's done. There's no way Thompson's missing time. There's no way Curry. He's sick. He's not missing time. He's only going to get better.
And that's the thing. They have 2 days in between these games, which NBA teams are able to fix pretty extraordinary problems. I mean, like Iguodala went down
Right. Great point.
late with that calf injury. He looked just fine today.
They
mean,
managed him well. They managed him very well. And they managed DeMarcus Cousins very well throughout the season, trying to get him back.
Yeah. Klay Thompson's going to be back. Steph Curry is going to be 100%. I don't know how Toronto would respond to this one, because Golden State's been a great home team. Toronto's been a kind of shaky away team. I like that they've got Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. They both got NBA Finals experience. They both got experience playing against the Warriors. Kawhi, not as much. He only played 24 minutes, I think, but in that first series against Golden State.
Yeah, but when Kawhi was playing for San Antonio against the Warriors, he was going
that's what I mean.
Single-handedly putting them in the game.
There was a series that he beat him, huh?
He was going to, and then he got hurt. But
yes,
regardless, we're going to have, I think Toronto and the Warriors matched up the season where like KD had 50 or something, but Toronto still won without Kawhi. I think if that's the case.
And that's where, if Kevin Durant comes back, I don't see it as like this huge benefit to Golden State. I see it as a potential turning point for Toronto, though. I don't know.
I just think Golden State gets stale at times, and having someone like KD who can even just literally just stand there and shoot better over people than probably what Quinn Cook. Like, even if you just give Kevin Durant's Quinn Cook's shots, or if you give him some of these other people's shots, I don't see how it's a negative.
No, but he really does disrupt like the flow of the game, because he can just stand there and shoot it. Like, you see how much Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are moving around, but they're shooting the ball really well because everything's in a rhythm. Kevin Durant comes in the game, and they don't want to move around, because then they're going to draw defenders toward Kevin Durant. They just want to clear out a side of the floor and then stand there and watch him work. That's the luxury of Kevin Durant.
Klay was in a great rhythm early in the game. And you could tell he got right back into it before he got hurt.
Yeah, and that's happened ever since Kevin Durant went down. They were not playing well when Kevin Durant was... I mean, they went 6 games with the Clippers. How did that happen? And that was with Patrick Beverley guarding Kevin Durant a majority of the time.
And Shea and Montrez.
I don't know how you go 6 games with the Clippers. That's where
honestly,
I was worried.
If you're Kawhi, it's like,
Golden State.
Would you rather have Kyle Lowry and Pascal, or would you rather have, a flurry of guys?
Oh, I'd rather have the Clippers. Just those like that mentality that the Clippers have.
See, I think Kawhi's gone. I think Kawhi's gone just because he's a different guy. Nobody thought Jordan was going to quit and play baseball. Nobody thought that. And I don't think anybody's thinking the same thing for Kawhi, and I don't think he cares. And I mean, if they don't win the championship, he doesn't owe them anything.
No, it's true. That is true. And he hasn't made them any promises. He's like, yeah, I'll try this for a year and then my contract's up.
Pretty much. And it's not like he's
I think he would.
It's not like he was drafted by the team and he turned down a mega extension to set, like he was traded. It would be if when Paul George left Oklahoma City, I don't think Oklahoma City fans would have hated him that much. But it's different when you drag your team to the finals, I think. It's just something we've never seen before. It's just weird.
Yeah, it is.
And even when if they get KD, it's like the best two players on the NBA Finals will be on the Clippers. It's just weird.
I wouldn't want both of them, to be honest with you.
And I was in a YouTube comment argument with a random guy earlier today, and he's like, Kawhi will never go to the Clippers because they're the bottom barrel of the NBA. And I thought about it, and I was like, listen, if you just stopped the NBA franchises before the season started, the best Clipper team beats the best Raptor team every day. You give me Chris Paul, peak Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, with JJ Redick running around. And look, they got broken up because of the Warriors. The Warriors emerged in 2015, right when they were peaking. And it's like, well, we are peaking, and these guys are emerging better than us. If you froze that team and you placed them in a time capsule against the 1990 whatever Vince Carter Raptors with Tracy McGrady, or even the Chris Bosches, as Skip Bayless likes to call them, Posh Spice, the Raptors, any version of that, the DeMar DeRozan Raptors, without Kawhi, I'm saying, if you take that away, the Clippers have a better history, better peak than the Raptors. Is that crazy? You could say that too against like Memphis. I mean, I don't know who else you could say that about, but it's not crazy.
Saying the Clippers are bottom of the barrel like right now, that's ridiculous. I mean, as far as like a healthy locker room, I think that the Clippers are a top 5 team. As far as the setup for a superstar, they're better than anybody else in the league.
Before you even go on, I think that first point's interesting because you can see how a team of veterans like the Cleveland team, after they flipped all those young assets to get guys that LeBron would like JR, like they had to trade for JR. He was on the Knicks when LeBron signed, if I'm not mistaken. And they got him for a second round pick and some peanuts. Because LeBron made a phone call, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have those vets in the locker room, like that Piston team, like the Spurs. And it can't just be like the young nucleus where they sign an outside star to come in, like Jimmy Butler, adding Jimmy Butler to the young core of Minnesota. It's not the same, right? You have to have these veterans. But then you're getting into that weird point of like, well, we're not rebuilding, but we're not young. We're not trying to make the playoffs exactly because we don't have a superstar, but we're not rebuilding because we don't have a young asset. It's just not many franchises are in the spot the Clippers are in right now, and they're kind of like the Miami Heat of 2013.
Yeah, the Clippers did a really peculiar thing, and I think they were actually trying to sort of dive for a draft pick. That's what it seemed like at one point. And then they switched their focus onto trying to free up cap space so that they could get max contract players in the summer, potentially a Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard. And they actually pretty much gave Tobias Harris away, trying to free up that cap space. And they made that really crazy moves. where you're like, why would you give away your only player who can score? And then they still made the playoffs on accident. And that was just because Patrick Beverley will never stop playing the way that he plays. And it was contagious, and the whole team bought into it. And they've got Doc Rivers, who was like, well, I guess we'll take this as far as it'll go.
Doc
And then
Rivers,
they signed him to
kudos to him for accepting when your boss tells you, look, you've got enough on your plate. You can't do this other person's job, and you have to let someone else come in and make roster moves. And they said, look, we got this young point guard named Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from Kentucky. He may play, he may not. You're the coach. You decide who starts and what the best lineups are. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start this rookie, and I'm going to bring Lou Williams off the bench. And he gets a lot of credit for that, I think.
Yeah, I think Doc Rivers is really well respected in that franchise amongst the players. And I think that's where it'd be a great opportunity for somebody to step in and not Kevin Durant. I don't think he's
real quick before we go. One more little rumor I heard was draft related. Atlanta likes RJ Barrett. If you're the New York Knicks, do you accept 8 and 10?
No.
Try and go after someone who slips. Maybe you get Rui Hachimura. Maybe you get a Rui Hachimura or a.
Well, I mean, like, what's the trade? Like, who's Atlanta going to offer for
the
RJ
8th
Barrett?
and the 10th pick? The 8th and the 10th pick.
You would just trade straight up for that? No way.
For the 3rd pick?
No way. Not for RJ Barrett.
And Taurean Prince.
I'd think about it.
Think about it.
If I got Taurean Prince, the 8th and the 10th, yeah, I'd probably do it, actually. Maybe.
For RJ Barrett.
I'd have to think about that one a little bit more.
Well, if you're Atlanta, what else could you give up?
If I'm Atlanta, honestly, I like the 8th and the 10th.
Bazemore?
Sure.
Yeah, you could take a flyer on someone like that. Jackson Hayes from Texas is supposed to be.
Yeah, I love that pick for them. I think Atlanta should keep on
RJ related, he rejected a workout for the Grizzlies because he wants to go to New York.
I've been seeing that Memphis is I saw Ja Morant had a surgery of some kind.
Just a cleanup on his knee. But that's always good when you're not even a 20-year-old. You're getting stuff cleaned out.
That one makes you kind of wonder, actually. RJ Barrett,
but I'm the guy who's like, hey, you know what? Bol-Bol's got a screw in his foot, and we're going to take him. Cleveland Cavaliers, 5 overall. He's my
I wouldn't take a risk on Bol-Bol in the top 10, to be honest with you.
No. I think, man, even if you're Atlanta and you have the 10th pick and you already got a player you liked at 8, I don't even think you would gamble at that point. And that's a gambling pick if you haven't, a second. Like, that's why the Myers Leonard pick, when they had Damian Lillard at 6, you could pitch that to your owner if you're Neil O'Shea, right? Hey, look, we got this 7'1" guy. He's gonna run the floor for us. He might be able to shoot threes one day, but he's a great guy. He's smart. Yeah, he's only 19.
Check out his combine stats.
Check out his 41 verge and a super long reach.
Everything about that guy looked great.
Hey, he showed up in the last game, right?
6 years later, he finally showed up.
I think it's like 7 at this point, dude. It's like 7 or 8. I mean, Lillard's gonna sign a freaking supermax. All right, so we'll pot again.
We'll be more organized next time.
After game 3? No, I thought we were fine.
Okay.
All right. Unless you have anything else to add.
No, I don't.
All right, sounds good.